Footnote in American gambling history. Former New Jersey Governor Christie was one of legalized online sports gambling's staunchest and most consistent advocates. But ahead of this Sunday Super Bowl, I'm sure you've read about it, heard something about it, it's in the papers. He's concerned that progress, which he has achieved, might have gone a bit too far. Here's my conversation with him on that and a few other items we would classify as news of the day. Governor, let me read to you this lead I came across from Bloomberg this week. From Super Bowl prop bets to political forecasts, prediction markets are having a breakout moment. Once a niche corner of online betting, they are now drawing record volumes and blurring the line between sports fandom, finance, and forecasting. You're not a big fan, though, are you?
I am not a big fan, Major, because it's illegal. And let me tell you why. You know, we fought hard for 6 years when I was governor to get gambling at the state, sports gambling at the state level legalized. And now 40 states have set up regulatory schemes. They've set up taxing. They've set up integrity issues, both to protect the consumer and the integrity of the games. They don't market to teenagers. We set up this entire scheme across 40 different states. And these markets have now come in and said, we don't care about your laws. We're not going to comply with them. They don't apply to us because we're not bets. Well, go on the prediction markets and tell me, you look at the website. If it quacks like a duck and it walks like a duck, it's a duck. And so they're absolutely, flouting the law, bad for consumers, bad for the sports, and bad for the individual states.
And you're not a disinterested party. You're a strategic advisor to the American Gaming Association, so you have a point of view on this. What are you trying to protect, and what do you believe prediction markets are threatening?
Everything that I worked for 6 years as governor, which was to show the public that you could do sports gambling in a smart, responsible, legal way if it was run and regulated by the states. And that's what I'm standing up for. Yeah, I advised the AGA, proud to do it, but I advised them on this issue alone. And the reason I agreed to do it was because I believe so much in the fact that we got to protect teenagers from being marketed to by these prediction markets. We've got to make sure that we don't have them having folks with inside information that could, in fact, affect the integrity of the games that everyone's betting on. We set this up in a very careful way. That's what we told the courts we would do if we did this. And now these guys are like rogue cowboys, Major, coming in and saying the laws don't apply to us. And I think they want to kind of become a fait accompli. Like, we're here, so what are you going to do with us now? And I don't want to get rid of them, Major. If they want to do sports bets, just come and get licensed and regulated in the states.
Super Bowl Sunday will be a bonanza of online betting. I want to read to you something this week that the NFL Executive Vice President Jeff Miller said when asked about prediction markets. It's innovative. That marketplace is dynamic. There's no question we're going to be spending a lot of time talking about this in the coming months. The only reason I highlight that to you, Governor, is that contrasts with what the NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell said earlier this year, which was much more cautious, much more brand protective about the NFL and being hesitant to embrace this new thing. You just said fait accompli. Does Jeff Miller's comments suggest to you that they're moving in that direction?
Well, it might, unless you didn't hear what the commissioner said about predictive market advertising in the Super Bowl,
right,
which it is prohibited.
Right.
Right.
Which is a different thing.
That's right. So I don't think the big boss is yet sold on this issue.
Are you nervous, though?
Well, I'm always nervous, Major. I'm always a nervous guy wanting to protect something that means a lot to me. So, look, the NHL has already decided to embrace and have one of the predictive market companies as a sponsor. I get that. But the fact is, I don't care if they do all that. Just comply with state law. Don't pretend that it's not a bet. It's a bet. And if it's a bet and you're offering it in New Jersey, New York, Illinois, wherever you want to mention of the 40 states that now authorize it, well, then just comply with the laws of those states. And by the way, there are 10 states who don't want sports betting. And guess what the predictive market companies are doing? Offering sports betting in those states. So in Alabama, in Texas, in Georgia, where they've affirmatively decided, the voters have decided they don't want sports gambling in their state. Predictive markets say, we don't care. We're offering it anyway.
Governor, since I have you here, I'd like to ask you about a couple of other news of the day items. There's more and more polling data. We have some, Fox has some, NPR has some this week, all suggesting something I think you would agree inconceivable a year ago. Immigration has become problematic politically for this White House.
It's absolutely right. And this is what happens when you screw up the execution, Major. Listen, people voted for one thing very clearly when we regarded Donald Trump on immigration. They wanted the border closed and criminals to be removed from the country. They did not vote for what we're seeing in Minneapolis and in many other places around this country. And it's not just what they're doing, but it is also the way they're doing it. And the American people are uncomfortable with it. And the president has taken what has been a plus 30 issue for the Republican Party over the last number of years and has turned it into a negative issue.
What do you think he should do or say that he hasn't yet done or said?
He needs to go back to his original talking points from the campaign, which was, we're going to close the border, which he has effectively done, and we are going to go after the worst of the worst. Remember? That's what he used to say during the campaign at those rallies. We're going to go after the worst of the worst, the murderers and the rapists who are in this country illegally. If he goes back to that pinpointed removal of bad actors, criminals who have committed violent crime in this country, I think he'll go back to have it being a positive for him and for the Republican Party. But he seems to be unwilling to do it because when you take Christie Noem and say she's no longer in charge, but you put Tom Homan in charge, that's just an optical change because Tom Homan has been the architect of this policy with the president from the beginning.
Very quickly, on the president continuing to say this week we should nationalize the midterm elections, even though his press secretary keeps saying that's not exactly what he means.
Look, he said something else. He said the states are agents of the federal government. As a former governor, I protest. That's not what the way the founders set this up. We're not agents of the federal government. We are independent political actors inside a country. And we are the ones who the Constitution, under Article 1, Section 4, gives the right to run elections to. And so the president should give this one up. It's not a winner, and it makes him sound a little bit loony, to tell you the truth.
Former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, always a pleasure. Hope to talk to you again, sir.
Absolutely, Major. Great to talk to you.